Well, hello there. I can't believe it's been so long since I provided you with a keto high-fat eating update. So in January, I made a video, one of the first videos actually on my channel, and it was about what 6 months of eating high-fat did to my body. And I will link up to it here and also below if you're watching this on the blog. And in that 6-month video, I highlighted all the things that my blood had done, all of the things I was experiencing, so that I could prove to people that eating high fat isn't all that bad. And so now it's October, and I'm going to be sharing with you what 12 months of eating high fat has done to my body. So you're probably like doing the math and thinking like, these numbers don't even add up. What are you talking about, Leanne? There were a bunch of blood tests that I was waiting on, so I couldn't make this video until now. And also, I've been trying a bunch of new strategies specifically for women over the last, I would say, about 6 months. So I wanted to be very, very sure of my strategies before I shared this video with you. If you're not familiar with my story and how I got going on this whole high fat thing, I'll tell you very, very briefly. Basically, I went on birth control when I was 13 for acne, and I had really painful periods. And so I did birth control from the age of 13 to 21 when I realized birth control was garbage and totally affecting my health. From 21, I lost my period and I didn't get my period back, and I had amenorrhea for 8 years. I went on hormone replacement therapy at the advice of many an endocrinologist, but that didn't help. I just ended up gaining weight and feeling miserable and totally, completely crazy. And then my naturopath told me about keto, and here we are. So rewinding back to January when I shared what 6 months of eating high fat did to my body, after I made that video, a couple of weeks after actually, I got involved in some really heavy lifting. I was working with a personal trainer, went back to the gym like hardcore, like 2 hours a day hardcore. And in order to support the lifts that I was doing and stuff, I started backloading at night. So I was eating extremely low carb, high fat throughout the morning. And then I would work out around 4 o'clock. And then when I got home from my workout around 6, I would eat carbs constantly. And I probably did this about 4 to 5 times a week. And because I was working out so excessively, when I was eating the carbs, it was replenishing my muscles. But I started to feel like absolute garbage. I would wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, end up having to have a nap in order to get through my day. I went back to my naturopath and I was like, this low carb thing isn't working. We did a bunch of tests, and turns out all the amazing hormone work that I had done over the last 6 months completely got kiboshed by doing the backloading and the lifting. And my cortisol was totally tanked. So that told me that I had not only gone through a stressful experience. When your cortisol starts to increase, I was on the other side of the hill where my cortisol was like really low, which was probably why I wasn't able to build muscle. I was super tired. I was falling asleep all of the time. March was a huge wake-up call to me that either I needed to get back to my roots and go just classic keto, or I needed to adjust things to work for my body. Fast forward a little bit, I know I said I was only going to share 12 months, but I know this is working because I've been ovulating for 2 months and I got my period last month. So I am using a adjustment to the ketogenic eating style. I am still very ketogenic. I know I'm burning fat as fuel, but I'm being a lot more gentle with my body, and I'm really, really, really focusing on balancing out my thyroid and adrenals so that I can support my sex hormones. Today I want to go through my blood work comparing before I started keto, back in January when I did my 6-month update, and then to July. So the difference between these is before I started keto, I was eating mostly plant-based, vegetarian, vegan-ish. In January, I was like, in December-ish time frame when I made my video, early January, I was eating massively ketogenic, so like 20 to 50 maybe carbs per day. And then in July, I was doing more of my fat-fueled approach, which I outline in my new book coming November 1st. I will link up to it up here when it's live. Otherwise, you can go down below and sign up for my newsletter, and as soon as it becomes live, you will hear about it. So with my fat-fueled approach, I'm eating about 60% fat in a day. So that's still a lot of fat. I'm going to be reading from my computer, so excuse me for a moment. My cholesterol went from 3.69 millimoles per liter before I started eating ketogenic to 5.90 in late December, and now in July it's 4.99. So you can see that it lowered because I've replaced a little bit of my fats. Like I went from 70% fat in December to about 60% fat in July. That those numbers went down slightly because I'm eating less fat. I would like it to be around 5 so that my body has a lot of cholesterol to build up my hormones. My triglycerides went from 0.42 millimoles per liter in July of last year, and then it went to 0.57 in December, and now I'm down to 0.5. My HDL went from 2.24 millimoles per liter to 3.18 in late December, now to 2.24. So interesting that my HDL went up when I was eating a ton of fats. My LDL went from 1.26 millimoles per liter, and I do not know if they are A or B particle sizes, but I'm really not concerned about it. And it then went to 2.45 millimoles per liter in late December, and then down to 1.62 millimoles per liter. My free T3, oh, this is so interesting. So when I was vegan and eating more of a plant-based eating style, my free T3 was 2.9 millimoles per liter. It then went up to 3.5 millimoles per liter in December when I was eating fully keto, and then in July it was 5.5, and we want it to be at 6, so I'm so close for it to be at 6. So my TSH went from 2.69 milli international units per liter to 1.52 in December. So my TSH went down, which is what we want it to do. And then just recently in July, my number is 0.4, and that's exactly where we want it to be. And so a lot of doctors probably won't agree with me on that. My orthomolecular doctor, as well as my naturopath, and many of my nutritionist practitioner friends agree with me on this, that around the 0.4 milli international units per liter is where we want to be. That low TSH tells us that our TSH isn't stimulating the thyroid saying, dude, like wake up, let's do the things that we need to do. And so I'm really happy with that number. And estradiol. So before I started this whole high fat thing, my number was 29, and then it went to 174 in December. It crashed in March, which we talked about, and now it's at 152. And we want it to be more than 150, so I'm entirely happy with that. When I did this blood test in July, I didn't know my cycle yet because I wasn't ovulating. I wasn't having my period. But now that I'm ovulating and having my period and things are going well, now I can start to track what my estrogen does throughout the month, because that's really, then we can start to understand exactly the big picture. So, summary of all these numbers. So if you're like, what the heck, what does all of that mean? We know that extremely low carb worked for me. From July 2014 to January 2015, things were totally rocking. I felt great, things were happening. I wish I would have included more carb ups because I did have some issues, but lesson learned, and I definitely recommend that every woman look into carbing up, and I've included a link above here where you can check it out for how to carb up, why it's important to carb up. Also below, if you're watching this video on my blog. We know that backloading caused some issues for me, and I think it really sparked adrenal fatigue. I'm pretty sure the adrenal fatigue was there already, but this just started a cascade of craziness. So I know that heavy lifting and carb backloading for me right now and probably for the next couple of years isn't going to be something that I'm going to entertain. We also know that with an imbalance of thyroid and adrenals brought on by all that heavy working out, and it kind of caused that cascade, I had to adjust keto to work for me. All about how to make keto work for you will be in my newest book. Again, I've included a link below this video if you want to get on my newsletter list so that you will be the first to know about it. And if you're watching this video after November 1st, chances are, if I'm a keener corner, I have included a link right up there for my newest book, and you can check it out on how to really personalize your ketogenic journey and heal your body with fats, because like nobody's talking about this at all. It's sort of like, go keto, eat like a bunch of dairy and processed meats. And I mean, I'm painting with a very wide brush, but we have a really, really awesome opportunity by eating this way to heal our bodies. By just changing a couple of things, especially as women, we can heal our body. And I'm doing it right now. And I'm ovulating and I'm having my period. This is awesome. So if you're curious about how to live high fat, if you've never heard about this before and you're like, I really want to get started, I don't even know where to start, I created a book called The Keto Beginning, which is an awesome beginner's guide to eating this way and really thriving on eating fat. So you can find the link below and also to the corner there. If you liked what I shared today and you want to learn more, you can subscribe to my channel up there and also below if you're watching this on my blog. And especially subscribe now, because over the next couple of weeks I am going to be sharing more about healing myself from amenorrhea and using fats to get me there. I will see you next Wednesday, and I hope you have a beautiful week. Bye!